Hello and welcome back to the course. This is the module all about Power Apps, Canvas apps. This module we're going to look at Canvas apps, and we're going to, there's a few slides to go through, then we will guide you through doing the labs, or point you in the right direction for doing the labs, and then wrap up the end of the module with a whole bunch of case studies that you can research and look at, because a lot of the times it's just working out, what can we actually do with these things. So that's what this module is about. That's how it's going to sort of pan out. And a Canvas app is, it's called a Canvas app because you actually get a canvas to paint the app on, if you will. There are two types of apps in Power Apps. There's Canvas apps and model-driven apps. Canvas apps give you a canvas to paint the user interface on. Model-driven app, it's based on the data model. So they're driven by the data model. So they're the differences. With a Canvas app, you connect to data, to systems you're already using. You can create apps without writing any code. In a few clicks, you've got an existing Sharepoint list that's got what you need in there. If you want an app for it, you can create a very simple 3-screen app in a few clicks. And then these apps are available on both web and mobile. So and they have powerful controls and things inside them, components, and you can build your own components so that these apps are also able to be used by pro developers to build out really sophisticated solutions as well. So you can build standalone web and mobile applications, or you can customize or build on top of Office 365, deploy them across different channels. It's a Canvas app, so you can draw the things. They're immersive, responsive apps. You can connect to loads of different data sources. And you've got access to native mobile capability like the camera, GPS, notifications, custom components. Sorry, what's going on there? And you can build in NLP or any other cognitive service powered by Azure or AI Builder. You can put those into the apps as well. So we're going to look at Canvas apps. This is what you see is what you get designer. You start with the user experience, whereas with a model-driven app that we'll cover in a later module, this is built on top of Dataverse data model. So you start with the data model and the relationships. This was starting with the end user experience on and a canvas on which to draw the app. It is what you see is what you get. We'll be looking at this in a few moments and take you on a bit of a tour of this. There are expressions in there that are very Excel-like expressions. You can connect to hundreds of different data sources in your app. You can leverage connectors to get data from other apps and also build custom connectors. Pro developers can build these custom connectors for anyone to use in their apps. Publish instantly to iOS, Android, Windows, and the web. For iOS and Android devices, there's a Power Apps player. You sign in with your Microsoft account, and then there's all the apps that you've got access to. It's really cool. And of course, you've got administration centers, data loss prevention, all of that stuff that IT admin are used to. This here is around democratizing software solution ideation, creation, the development, pushing that out there to other people. And you can start from any data source, and I'll show you this in the demo. Let's go through a few of the so the platform we're using, it's called the App Maker, the design environment. Let's go through some of the key the Apps Maker portal concepts. So there's on the right hand side here, the left hand side, sorry, of the page. Let me bring it up and I can just sort of bring it in and out of shot. So it has changed quite a bit, but you can see here you've got similar kind of stuff here. So you have Learn, where you can learn stuff. Great to go there and get, it's good to have that to hand. This is where you'll see all of your apps and any custom component libraries that have been built for you to use in those apps. You have data. Now this has been rebadged as Dataverse. An important thing here is that you may see references to something called Common Data Service, or just data, something like that, or Common Data Service. This is the Dataverse. Dataverse, it was rebadged to Dataverse, and you have tables, choices, data flows to get data in from other places, connect to Azure data sources, Azure data lakes, and then other things down here. Flows opens up Power Automate. These are the Power Automate flows you've got access to. Chatbots, been able to create chatbots in the environment, and then AI builder models. Let me just get rid of that. Yeah, so you get the idea there of the left hand side of the page here. In the Power App Studio, in the App Maker Studio, this is where you create your apps. It's where you go to create. So the create button, it's a bit different to what it was here. It's always changing, so it's a little bit different. This has recently just changed. So hopefully it's still the same as when you're doing yours. But the idea here, the concepts are the same. You can start with your own data, you can start with a blank canvas, or you can start with a template. So here's the start from a blank application, a pure blank canvas to work on, or if you've got some data already available, you can use those to create a very simple 3-screen app. You can start from templates, a whole bunch of templates down here you can start with. Highly recommend, once you've got a bit more confidence in the platform, just create a few of these templates, have a look at how they hang together. It'll help you with your learning as well. And then in the app designer itself, you have some of these different components to look at. And what we're going to do with that is I'm going to actually guide you on a click along sort of walkthrough to guide you through that. I'm going to do this in real time, so things might go a bit wrong. Let's see how we go. But I've got an idea to show you the user interface a little bit. Click along if you like, or just watch. But I'll go through some of this stuff on screen. So let me pull this up. So what we're going to do first is we're going to actually use Sharepoint to build a very simple 3-screen app. And then from that app, I'll show you some of the stuff in the design studio. What we're going to do first, if you're in a blank tenant, this is ideal for you. If you're in your own tenant, you might need to work out how to do this in your own environment, but if you don't have access to SharePoint or things like that. But if you're in a trial tenant, this is what you do. Go to the waffle over here, click on SharePoint. We don't want to switch to my work account. We're just going to use the admin account that I've just created. That's going to go into SharePoint and go into SharePoint. Yep, don't care about that. So there's no sites at the moment. I'm just going to create a site. It can be any kind of site. So just create a site. All we're doing here is we're going to create a list. We're going to create a list that we're going to build an app on top of. So you can build an app on top of a SharePoint list. You can build it on top of existing Dataverse tables. You can point it on top of a SQL Server table, or on top of even an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to use a SharePoint list. We're going to go new list. And you see here you've got a blank list from Excel or from an existing. So we're going to choose actually one of these templates. So let's just click on Issue Tracker. So here you see what fields you'll get with the issue tracker, and there's some test data here. So there's kind of an issue tracker, an employee onboarder, event itinerary. So any of these will do. I'm going to choose a issue tracker. Let's choose an issue tracker and use template. I'll just call it issue tracker and then create. That's going to create the site. So this is an issue tracker. So I might create just one for my computer is frozen. I'm just going to have one here just as some test data. hi, it's new, assigned to admin, date is today, don't need any of that, no images, let's click save. Right, see an issue there. So very simple issue tracker. So you might have an existing list that's managing a business process like this in your organization, and you might want to use this in your as a power app. Might need a power app for this. So I'm going to copy and paste the list URL at the top. So you do the same thing. Copy and paste the list URL at the top so it's in the clip, or copy it so it's in the clipboard. Then go back to Power Apps and then start from a SharePoint list. Click on SharePoint List. So I'm going to ask you for some stuff. And we're going to connect directly with cloud services, or you can connect to on-premise SharePoint using on-premise data gateway, but we're going to connect directly. And then it's going to ask you, okay, what list do you want to connect to? We're going to paste that in there and click on go. And here you can see the list that I just created is called Issue Tracker. So you should be at this point where you've connected to your list that you've created. Then click on Connect, and it's going to build an app for us. And build what's known as a three-screen app. A three-screen app. Very, very easy to create this app. So there you can see the issue tracker, and you can see the first item there of the issue that we created. Might go and create another one. No, I won't. I'll leave that as it is. Actually, let's just focus on this. So this here is called a gallery control. You're going to know this gallery control as part of Lab 1, so I'm not going to talk about it too much in this setup. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to just talk you through some of the key things on this screen here. First of all, though, let's just acknowledge we've just built we've just built an app here based on a SharePoint list. Very simple app, but it's something we can build on top of. Absolutely build on top of. So that's great that we managed to do that in such a short period of time. 3 or 4 clicks. Here's an app that you can deploy. Yeah, you get the idea. Let's go through some of the important concepts. First one I want to talk about is tree view. So, well, let's look at on the left-hand side here. You've got this this burger menu that pops out, and you've got tree view. So let's talk about tree view. This is tree view here. So you can highlight things in the canvas over here. You can click on various components. But sometimes I find it's easier to use the tree view to select the component that I want. So all the tree view is, it's a hierarchical representation of the screens and controls that are in your app, that are in your Canvas app. So if I click on browse screen, here's the browse screen. If I click on detail screen, it's going to change to the detail screen. This is the detail of an issue. If I click on the edit screen, this is editing an issue. So these are the 3 screens. Now within the edit screen, here are the different components that are within that screen. There's something called an edit form. In the edit form, here are the components in the edit form. In the edit, within this particular field in the edit form, there are these components as well. So you get the idea here that the tree view is just that, is a hierarchical view of the Canvas app in here. And why that's particularly useful is that, say I wanted to highlight the bar at the back here, the rectangle at the back that's the color. Clicking it in here, I'm clicking the wrong things quite often. I'm clicking like the plus button or the label here, but I want to highlight the triangle, this bit at the top. There it is, the rectangle. It's a rectangle. So you can see there that I know that I'm highlighting the right control for me to change. So I want to change the color over here. Just go in here and change the color if I want to. Control Z works. Important thing there. Control Z works, which is pretty neat. Let's look at the next. So that's tree view. So that makes it easy to select control. It gives you a good idea of what screens are available and all of that kind of good stuff. You've then got a formula bar up here. So see here, this is the formula that is populating this this gallery control here. you've got a properties pane over here that is the property of the selected component over here. You've also got something on the top bar up here, this formula bar. This is the formula bar. You've also got a properties drop down, property drop down bar. This is super important. So this bit here, this formula is for this property in the property drop down bar. One of the most common things that people get confused with is not choosing the right thing or not having the right thing chosen in this property drop down bar over here. So just be aware that in the labs and things like that, you might need to use this property drop down bar over here rather than the properties pane that's over here. So just be very careful of that. You've also got a ribbon across the top here that's very familiar if you use any Office app. You've got you've got a file menu, you've got insert menu, which has all the different things that you can insert into here. You've got the view menu, action, date. So you've got all the different menu that changes the ribbon across the top here. So insert allows you to insert all these different types of components, these types of controls into your app. You can also insert by clicking on the insert over here. So here's all the different types of things you can insert. So you can insert from the menu or insert from the burger menu on the left over here. Data just shows you the different data sources that are being connected to. We're connected to the Sharepoint list here. Media, you can upload images, videos, audio, and put those into your app and store them in this media section. And then you have advanced tools over here that we won't go through today. So yes, the two things to keep in mind as you're going through the first lab. So that's a quick navigation of the interface. I'm going to let you loose on doing the lab file at the labs right now. Two things to note before you start the labs. Actually, no. Let me do one more thing before I let you loose on the labs. We're going to save the app. So go to File. If you're clicking along with me, we're going to go to File, Save, and we'll call it my wizard app. Let's call it the wizard app. We created it using the wizard. It's the issue tracker. And then click Save. So I've now saved that app. And if I go back, save that app and then go back to the app itself. Here we are, I've saved it. Now Control S works. So Control S will save the app because you're working in the app. I haven't changed anything. Let me just go in here and change something. Move that slightly over there. Control S will save the app. So Control F. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Control S. There we go. We'll talk about publishing in a second. So that's Control S can save. Highly recommend that as you're going along, every 2 or 3 major changes that you make, save, Control S. Or you can go into File and Save. File, Save. Control S works just as well. If you make a mistake, undo works most of the time. So Control Z does work, as I mentioned before. So that's the wizard app, that's saving it. And now let's go on to the lab. So for the labs, you should have downloaded the lab files. Make sure you have unzipped the lab files. So in the lab files, you should have PA hands-on lab content extracted somewhere on your machine. Make sure you've extracted them. And we are working on lab number 1. So let's open up lab number 1. Some of the things that you can skip. So first of all, the first part of the app, lab prerequisites. Make sure this is basically making sure where you've provisioned an app, you've provisioned an environment, all that kind of stuff. You've already done that if you're following along in sequence here. If you haven't set up an environment, go to the course that you set up an environment. You need to do that before you start this lab. So you don't need to bother about that bit. This here gives you an overview of the of a walkthrough of the interface that we've just been through, so you can skip that if you like. This here talks through the scenario that we're going to create. So the scenario that we're building on, let me just go back to the slide so I can take you through that so you don't need to read that either. Yeah, so we've been through this. So you can play apps using an app from the Power Apps mobile player. Here's all the different, we've just been through these, so I won't go into these in a lot of detail. So the labs are going to create a Canvas app, Dataverse, model-driven app, Power Automate, and it's all going to be on this business scenario. So imagine an organization where every 3 years employees go through a hardware refresh cycle, and people order their own device. It then goes and procures these devices and they get approved, and you can view different reports and stuff like that. So it's an employee-facing device ordering app that needs to run in a web browser and on mobile devices. So we're going to create this solution. This bit's for the employees. This bit's here is for the people that are procuring the devices, and Flow is what's going to hang the approvals together. So this is the app we're going to build, the scenario we're going to build on today. And the lab objective, we're going to build a Power Apps Canvas app for the employee-facing side of things. That's what we're building in this lab right now, in lab number 1. Lab number 2, we're going to use Dataverse to store the device orders in the cloud. We're then going to build a model-driven app on top of that Dataverse to complete the procurement process. I'm going to use Power Automate to build an approval workflow for the managers to approve those devices. So they're the labs. They're the 4 labs that we're going to do. The lab content is available there. Now, you can download it from that link. Feel free to do that if you like. We have a download of that in this portal, in the Power Automate portal. Downloading the one that is here in the portal will be better because, well, there's a trade-off. Downloading the one from the portal here will mean that it will match what you see on screen. Because this content gets updated all the time. If you go to that URL, you might get a version of that is more up to date than what the portal is, so it might differ from what you're seeing on screen. So just be aware of that. Feel free to go and get the most latest one if you like, though. There are four modules in the download. There's the number 1 Power Canvas app, number 2 Dataverse, model-driven app, and Power Automate. They're the 4 labs that we'll talk you through. There's also a completed folder, and in that completed folder, there are solution packages that you can import, which contain the solution for that particular module. Now no cheating, but if say you wanted to do module 4 without doing the previous work, then what you can do is you can import module 3 and then get to work on module 4. It'll have all the prerequisites for that. I'll show you very quickly how to import. If we go to, if you go to here, there's a solutions button at the bottom here. So you go to solution, you go to import, you browse, and then you look for the completed zip file. So this zip file here, you open and then click next and then just import it. And that will have the app inside there that has the completed solution. That's it for the background of that. So that means that there is no need for you to go through the device ordering scenario here. You are more than happy to read that if you like, but if you want to get straight to actually doing stuff, then feel free to do that as well. An important thing here, just in case there are any people watching this course from Europe or somewhere that has a different regional settings, you'll notice that some of the code, like here in Australia and in the US, we use a comma in these scenarios. The locale for a lot of Europe and other places, it will have a semicolon. So wherever you see this symbol in the labs, this little location symbol, then it means that that is likely the case that there's some formatting required for localization. I think that is. Oh, the other thing you don't need to do is task 1 here. So you've already signed into Power Apps, you've got your own environment, so you don't need to do this. You don't need to switch environments or anything like that. Just go straight onto task 2 and start from there. What I'm going to do is So my recommendation to you is to pause the video now and start working on lab 1. What I'm going to do now is pause now, and then what I'll do is then come back and I will go through some of the common things that people get wrong in lab 1. So if you do get stuck, you can watch the rest of this video, or you can watch it now, or you can try yourself and try to figure it out. It's totally up to you. I'm just giving you a spoiler warning. If you want to continue now, then please do, but pause if you want to make a go of it on your own. Pause right now. Okay, welcome back, or if you're staying around, great. Some of the tips and best practice from doing lab number 1. So let's look at lab number 1 completed. I'm just going to open up the app as you can see it. So here's going to open up the app. So a couple of things about the finished solution here, some of the best practices. In the tree view, you can actually rename the control. This is a good idea. So for example here, this is a button and it's clear selection. So in the side here, it's called button 1.1. It doesn't really mean anything. So as a best practice, I would highly recommend that you get into the habit of naming things like that, because then you know that's a button and you know it's clear selection. So BTN for button, TXT for a text box, CBO for a drop-down combination box. Come up with your own prefixes. You do get a hint on the icon here, so maybe the prefix isn't that important. It's just a habit of mine. But I highly recommend that you rename the controls. Is a good tip. The second tip is you'll have started using this FX bar, the formula bar, and PowerFX is case sensitive. So one tip is to use the Intellisense that appears. So you can type it yourself. I wouldn't recommend that because that's not going to have the. It does correct it, but it does take a while to type. So what you can do is you can go submit, and then if you press the arrow down, enter, that will complete it for you. The other way you can do it, if you prefer, if you're a clicky kind of person, you can just click it with your mouse. So this technology that this is using is called Intellisense. So just be aware that that exists. It's very useful, and yeah, useful for that. A couple of the common issues that you may have stumbled across during that lab. If we go into the lab document here and we go down to page number 24, there is a common issue that people sometimes run into. Page 24. So this bit, it's got the gallery. Actually, it's this one here on page 23. So it's this bit here. Why isn't this filter working? So this filter, they copy paste this in and it's not working. There's two reasons why that wouldn't be working. First is that if you've copied and pasted this out, then there may be some additional white space, some funky white space that's been copied and pasted out. So just be aware of that. So make sure you've got rid of all the white spaces. That could be number one. The second one is that the gallery itself, the name of the gallery, needs to be called manufacturer gallery. So make sure that this control here is called manufacturer space gallery. It must be the same name because it is referencing that particular gallery, that particular name in this function. So they're the two common things. Either this has been left at the default, it's not been renamed, or the copy and paste has messed up with the filter command. A couple of queries come in. A couple of common queries in the item in the collection called compare list. So the other query that we get is in this area here, in the default in the default of this checkbox in the gallery, why is that set to this item in compare list? And the reason for that is that this is a collection called compare list. If this item is in compare list, then it will check the checkbox. So it's saying that the checkbox is checked. The checkbox appears if that item is in that list that you created, in that compare list that you created in the lab. The other thing with gallery controls, just to note something here. So when I'm clicking over here and I'm in the device gallery as a whole, so here the properties are of the device gallery as an entirety. So all these properties here apply to the device gallery. If I want to change the template item, I need to go into the item itself. So if I move this around, you'll see that moves it around for everywhere else. So just know that there's the gallery itself to click in. I can get to that by clicking either the gallery at the top or clicking anywhere in white space that's not the first item. The first item is known as the template cell. Once I'm in the template cell, any changes that I make here will be represented across the whole of the gallery. And that's these ones here. So if I change any of these properties here, they affect the whole of the gallery itself. You can also, by the way, click on the pencil to edit the gallery as well, the template item. Another question, just one more thing, is on here we add padding. Why would we add padding? Well, padding just makes the device a little bit bigger, so that there's more screen area to be able to press when a user's going to press the button. There's more pressable area for the end user. So that's some of the common things. The final thing I want to talk about is saving and version control. So I made a couple of changes. I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to change this this border up here, this color, to be, let's make it orange. I'm going to make that orange. I'm going to do Control S and save the app. So I've now saved that app. I'm going to go back into my apps, and I'm going to play the app. We've still got a blue border. Now that's actually fantastic news. That's really, really good. And I'll tell you why that's really good. Because if we go to the details of the app, go to details and the versions tab. So every save that I'm making to that app, it is going to create a new version. So if I go back into the app here, let's go back into the app and edit it again. Go back into that app, 1 second. Edit, so let's make another change. So I'll change that to any nonsense in there, and Control S. So that new change will also appear in the versions list. So if I go back to details, versions, it'll take a second to do it. Saved. Take a while to appear. Let's refresh the whole thing. All right, there's the 3 versions. So you can see here that you've got version 1 is the one that's live. That is the one that's published. So there's a prompt that will appear sometimes when you hit save that is, do you want to publish this app and make it available to everybody? So what this means is, what this version control means is that you can be working on it and saving it, saving all the changes as you're going along, and then but not affecting the one that's live, not affecting the live version that people are using. And what you might want, so say I do want to bring this one to be live. So I go to version 3. Why can't I publish that? One second. Oh, because I've got it open. That's why. Let's close that. Close that. Leave that. All right. Cool. So go into details, versions, that version, and publish. So 3 buttons, publish this version. So I'm going to publish that version. And now you'll see that will change to live. And if I go back into here and play the app, it can take 15, 20 seconds, something like that, for it to appear once it's published. But that will eventually, there it is, it's turned that different color. Now the other thing is, now say that I want it, say that change has been published, but actually, you know what, the manager doesn't like the my app at the end of the, wants to roll back one of the changes. So this change here, it's actually this version we want to be live. We want the orange banner, but we don't want the my app, which is what this version was. And of course, version notes will help here if you put version notes in as to what's changed. So say you wanted to make this one live, we simply don't publish that one. What we actually do is we restore that version. And what that will do is it will create a new version called version 4. Sorry, it's open. Restore. And that is now ready to use. Publish that version. So now if I go to the app, it's now, it will take a few seconds. Eventually that my app will disappear because that was the other change that we made. So there we go. So you get the idea there of version control on every save, the concept of a published version, and the concept of restoring a previous version as the latest version and being able to publish that to roll back or to work out changes and things. Hopefully that was useful to go through. And thank you for engaging with the labs and doing that Canvas app. The final thing I want to go through is just just highlight a few customer stories of Canvas apps. Now, I'm not going to read all of these out. I'm just going to cycle through them so you can see that people like American Red Cross have built an app that do things that like ordering different medical equipment. We've got Virgin Atlantic that has built check-in apps for their lounges and things. Metro Bank. You can always pause these to read these if you like, or if you go on the Power Apps website, there's a whole bunch of customer stories. I'll also show you a section of our website, of our academy, that has a whole heap of these as well. This is SNCF, here's Toyota. Priceline. And that's it for the case studies. I'll show you one other resource that is useful for case studies. Because a lot of the challenges, like when you start learning this technology, you might have some ideas, but then there's lots of other ideas that you need a bit of inspiration sometimes. So I'm going to just show you in the Start Here module. In the Start Here module, so everyone's got access to Start Here. There's this business solution gallery. If you click on that, it's actually an embedded PowerPoint presentation that's clickable and interactive. So this will take a while to load up, but this gives you some really good ideas around Power App solutions that have been created in the real world. So you can read case studies, links to the case studies online. This is in sales and retail. You can click on the links to go back to these. Are all the retail examples. Go back to the industry list. So Power Apps examples by industry. Click here to navigate by app solution. That link's not working, but you can see, you get the idea here. So if you go to page number 1, this is a solutions gallery. gives you an idea of the art of the possible. And there's lots of different ideas here. So you can click around and play with this T-Hearts content to get more inspiration of what you can do with these apps. Cool. Thank you very much for engaging in this module, and I will see you in the next one where we'll be talking about Dataverse.